a lot of lessons learned, and it'd be nice to have learned them from someone else, right? And have that humility, but sometimes you just got to learn a lesson for yourself.
And you really, really get that. And that's why I look at your deal right now and go, yeah, 6 months from now, you'll be triple the size.
I'm not going to win if you're not winning. And so I think that's so beautiful, because where else do you see that?
Thank you for joining us on our Family First Life Tri-State Serve the People podcast. We appreciate you tuning in, spending your time to develop and grow with us. Follow us, please, on all our social media platforms at Family First Life Tri-State or FFL Tri-State. We love you. Keep listening, and I hope this information is serving you across the country.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us again for another Training Day podcast. We're blessed today. I got my man, stud, Matt Borsh, Executive Vice President of FFL Inception, Hall of Fame producer, and just a rock star in New Jersey with us today. And him and his team have come in to help us out with a bunch of things, but we've got him here for our podcast. And Matt, you're one of my favorite interviews. I don't know if you know that, but
yeah, do you say that to all your interviewees?
No, I think if you're listening, you'll know I don't. But you're one of my favorite interviews for a lot of reasons, because you're so transparent about your growth. You're so transparent about where you're going. You're very focused on where you're going. So you always have good feedback, or you always have good content, better way to say it, for our guests, because people want to know not only what's happening at the top of the mountain, they also want to know what's happening and how you got there, and then the things you're doing to readjust. And you're very, very, very transparent about that. So I appreciate that. But welcome to the podcast, man. How you doing, buddy?
Thanks, Mark. Doing great. Appreciate you having me. It's great seeing the office, the future of what you guys are doing. Glad to be a part of it.
Dude, it's exciting, man. I got to say, I mean, when I think about the landscape of the insurance industry as a whole, and then I think about Family First Life and our role in reshaping the middle American market with simplified issue life insurance and, all these carriers, I just think like the sky is truly the limit for what's possible as long as we continue to put families first. Yep. And, when I think about your business, you've seen, incredible production that you've gone out there and produced and helped families with. And now you're seeing incredible growth on the people side, the business side, the business growth side. And because you're knee deep in it and you're working with people kneecap to kneecap, you see a lot of things, You see, you've helped a lot of people become elite producers by just tweaking some small things, and people have proven that they want to grow. So you guys have also found a way, you and Mike, to work with the ones that want to grow, learn to kind of not push too hard on the one. Like, there's a lot of lessons in this,
There's always something.
There's a lot of lessons in what we do. And, I always say that being a producer becomes really simple. You can be doing really well 60 days from your start with us, like really, really well. Pattern recognition on clients is pretty simple, yeah. Right? Building a business is a way different piece. Yeah. It's like an MBA or it's like a master's degree in leadership. You don't arrive at any point. You're kind of constantly always evolving, shifting, growing, making changes. So if you could walk us through your journey, maybe in the last 3 months, some of the things that you're learning at this EVP level, trying to push this thing to board member, what are some things that you're seeing right now?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot to it. One point that came to mind when you were talking about, the writing to the business building side of things, is definitely a different animal, but they're related. And that's one of the cool things that I talk to a lot of people about that, you've helped me with and others, is so many things about what you've learned helping a lot of clients transfer to helping agents.
Right.
So that's a big deal, and that's something that's great for me, because I've always, said I'm aggressively average, but I can copy and paste something. I love that. I'm not gonna come out here and reinvent the wheel, right? I'm not gonna do what you did starting this thing, right? But I can copy and paste what you did. So it's great to have that. It's great to have that recipe to be able to follow.
Aggressively, that's boss talk.
Hey, everyone needs their thing.
But dude, that's so good. That's how I introed this thing. I mean, you're so transparent. Like, to describe yourself that way, and then I see it, I'm like, wow, that's a really good description.
Right? It is though.
You know, and when I think about, I don't know who I was saying. I think I told you this. I might have told you this, but I definitely told this to Joe. I told this to Ivan, and I was like, me and Ivan were talking one day, and I'm like, dude, you know who reminds me of you? Matt Borsh. I said, yo, just like, not gonna question a lot, gonna put the stuff into play, gonna ask the questions, but asking the questions to put stuff into play immediately. Doesn't need to reinvent the wheel, but can bludgeon his way through, you know. And I think Ivan would say, if he's heard that term, aggressively average, I think he would say the same thing. And I think that's like the ultimate compliment because, dude, I didn't pretend to know what Sean Mike knew. I literally said, dude, you've had immense success. This is day one. You've had immense success. I'm not looking to reinvent a wheel, dude. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do.
Yeah. But how great of an opportunity here to be able to be aggressively average and still build a massive business.
That's
crazy.
What
other industry can you say, hey, I'm aggressively average, but I'm also running a $7 million a year agency?
That's strong,
you know?
Dude.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that's the power of what we do, you know? And it's like, when you think about just what we offer, our offer in it of itself is one that, you know, I think more people should take people up on because it does have the power. It has the track, the repeatable track that people can run on, that as long as you're willing to work and not, you know, succumb to, you know, everyday pressures, you can just continue to duplicate and win. So you were, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It was good. You know, but you were talking about the 90 days and some of the stuff you see.
Absolutely. Yeah, a couple of the lessons I've been learning this year. You know, Mike and I's passion is to go farther faster, help other agents go farther faster, take the time that we've been here, you know, and it shouldn't take you, you know, 2 years and a couple months like I've been here to get where we're at in the business, right? So taking that time frame and shrinking it for everyone that's in the business, you know, and helping them apply that. But some of the blowback from that passion is that you start trying to do the work for people rather than teaching them how to do the work. Right. And so that was a mistake that we've made. Instead of duplicating ourselves in the people that are trying to build a business, it's, oh, hey, you focus on this and I'll help build your business for you. Right. And not in every aspect, but that was kind of, you know, looking back over the past, you know, 90, 120 days, I think those were some of the weeds that we got lost in a little bit. Instead of continuing to build our business and teaching others to build theirs, it's, hey, let's build yours for you. But that catches up to you. You know, I'm sure you've been there. So that one of the big lessons there, for sure. You know, it's not valued as much when it's done for you, and then you don't have the lessons that you need to be able to push through and grow it and teach it to others. So that was definitely one of the bigger lessons we've been learning.
That's good, man. I was just in a meeting with my agent success team, and we were talking about the underwriting genies. And you know, Kim looked at me. She asked me, "She goes, Mark, when you were in the field, how did you get good at products?" I'm like, underwriting guidelines. You know what I'm saying?
You got to know
and
here?
I called the carrier. I talk to an agent. I say, "Call the carrier." They think that's a slight to them that I don't want to help them. That's unbelievable. But I called the carriers, repeatedly. That's how I learned products. That's how I learned niches. That's how I learned where to slide what client into what product and how and exactly how it'll fit. And then if I thought it would fit and it didn't fit, I called the underwriter and said, hey, A, B, C, D, and E checked off. What are you seeing on your end? Nah, you're right. Should have been approved. Like, bro, I was out there trying. I was a practitioner.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and you see, like, and I said, you know, the underwriting genies have made it so that if the underwriting genie's wrong, you're mad at the underwriting genie.
Right.
Wait,
no, that was you, not behind the wheel.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so you have these like systems that we have to put in place to keep up. And if you don't do it, you're the bad guy. And if you do it, you have to somehow teach it in a way that's saying, hey, dude, this is like a guide. This isn't like your crutch. Like,
big difference.
Big difference. But you're saying the same thing from a building perspective. Yeah. there's a lot in what you're saying. Let's get a little bit more granular. Okay. When you say that those are big lessons you've learned, let's walk through it. Talk to us about, really, I mean, you've already altered some of what you were doing because of what you learned. So let's give me a little more color.
For sure, yeah. So, I mean, to put it in details, I think part of it is, training and mentoring agents and developing that relationship. That has to be a one-on-one thing. If a mentor is not talking to their agent, you can't do that for them. Mm-hmm. You can develop your own relationship with them. You can mentor them yourself, but it's not going to replace that, right? So I feel like there's a fine line between, hey, I'm helping the sharp people, but you need to reach out to this other person as well. You need to be developing that relationship with them as well, and kind of getting good at fostering those relationships.
Got it.
Almost like a chess game. Like, hey, you're struggling in this area, but so-and-so is really good at it. Mm-hmm. You need to be working with them on that.
Right.
Because that's their specialty, and hey, there's this one time, ask them about that. And kind of helping foster those relationships, because that's what we do, right? What we do is all about relationships. With clients, with agents, repeat. So getting better at doing that. I feel like a lot of it was, you have to, we're running a business, and part of a business is staff.
Right.
But if you never know how to find, interview, hire, fire staff, can you call yourself a business owner? So that's been a learning lesson for us. But also for those a part of our business, like, we can't just do that for them, because, it's like kicking the bird out of the nest without, they need to know how to fly too, somehow.
Yeah, that's good.
They need to figure it out. So some of those lessons, it's just making sure that we're learning, fixing, and making sure that problem doesn't repeat itself if we can help it, because it's like, hey, these are lessons we've learned. Now you don't have to. This will help you go farther, faster, and so those are some things that we've got kind of got us stuck. Another one is we started focusing so hard on writing and mentoring, we forgot about the recruiting arm of the business, as far as recruiting direct to us and replicating that, right? In other words, we're teaching other people how to recruit, mentoring, writing, but not recruiting. So then when your team doesn't see you recruiting at a really high level, and you're showing them how to do it, it's just like, if they haven't seen you write a bunch of business, you don't have that credibility.
Wow.
And those systems duplicate. So, a lot of lessons learned, and it'd be nice to have learned them from someone else, right? And have that humility, but sometimes you just got to learn a lesson for yourself, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying. When you think about all these lessons, right? And you think about, what you say, I wish I would have learned them from someone else. The truth is, if some of these lessons you don't learn for yourself, you can't, you're going to grow. Your growth trajectory from these lessons, it looks like this, but it's really like this. No. Because you're competitive, you're cool with the challenge, you're adapting right now, you're making maneuvers, your brain's moving, you're shifting, y'all are strategizing, you're kind of spanking yourself for what you didn't see, and you're evolving from that. And it's what's happening, even though you don't see it right now. What's happening is you've just elevated. It's like you put the car in gear 6, and it's like you got them hydraulics, and you elevated the trajectory, almost like a plane going into flight, right? Yeah. And instead of being on the runway going fast, you're really taking off. But you'll see it very, very, very soon. And do you believe that you're a better business owner, a better operator, better practitioner because of these things?
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. Why?
Because the learning a lesson for yourself, it sticks.
Yeah.
It sticks. It's got that sting of oh man, right? But it doesn't have that same sting if you learn it from someone else. You know,
Right.
it's the same thing. You know, if we're applying it again to helping clients in the field, it's the same thing
Right.
there. Like, oh man, I should have said this, and I see it now. I know he told me to, but now I get it.
Right.
It's the same exact thing,
Right.
just on a bigger scale.
Oh, yeah. And now, in this process as well, you also find out who some of your key managers, leaders are, right?
Yep.
Because when you're moving and shifting and changing, you're not just moving and shifting and changing by yourself. Number one, you're also not just moving, shifting, and changing for yourself.
Sure.
You're not by yourself. You're not for yourself. You're with others and you're for others. So what are you seeing? Because here's the deal, dude. There's a lot of people that want to grow a business, but there's things like growing pains that make them nervous. There's things like investing in staff that make them nervous. There's things like maybe having to help someone out with leads that makes them nervous. There's things like chargebacks and roll-ups that makes them nervous. And the reality is as much as that's a part of our business, it's a percentage of our business like Walmart has a percentage of shrink, or Amazon has a percentage of returns. Like it's as much a part of our business as anybody else's. But some people tend to put a magnifying glass on that. And when you're watching this and you're working now with your leaders, you're seeing the ones that are morphing, adapting, and changing with the company, Inception. Yeah. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I think that, again, just like, agents helping clients, it's easy to say you want one thing, but it's harder to back that up with the activity and the money and the time.
Right.
Because it's a whole nother ball game, because when you decide, hey, I want to build a big business, build a business at a high level, you can't neglect the field.
Right.
So you have to continue the time that you're investing there. And that takes time, right? Only you can help clients.
Right, sure.
But then only you can build the business too.
Right.
Those are the two things that can't be outsourced.
Right.
Right. And so I think it's just a bigger commitment than a lot of people realize. Wow, agents are going to call me. Agents are going to be emotional like I was emotional. And I think that's a big realization for some people. And so it kind of, it's a wake-up call, like, oh, okay, I said I wanted a big business, and I see all the people that have done it, but then they start to see what it entails. I got a call from an agent yesterday who was kind of starting that process of going from saying he wants to build a big business to doing it, and he was like, man, I didn't know how much there was to this. He was like, I got a 5-10 minute break to myself, and that was like heaven. That was like a vacation. And I think that's what this business is, and that's why so many people don't. We see them for a little bit, and then it's like, oh, where'd they go? I thought they were doing something.
Right.
They get weary in well doing. That's something
sir.
You've talked about a lot.
Yes, sir.
And it's that consistency, that ability, the stamina.
Right.
Is what it takes in this business. I think that's what really separates the men from the boys, so to speak. This isn't just a month of grinding.
Right.
Right? If it was, everyone would do it.
That's facts.
Yeah.
That's really good.
But I mean, it's just like when you're writing business, same thing we were talking about yesterday, talking about Hall of Fame and how to get there. Right? You can have a huge month. You can help 100 plus families, and everyone will know your name, because not many people do that.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you hit Hall of Fame. You got to get back out there and do it again, then again. And that's what I love about this business. If you break down the numbers of being a Hall of Fame writer, it takes 34 families a month.
Right.
That's aggressively average.
Right.
But to do that 12 months out of the year, that's not.
Wow.
And the same thing has to apply to the business. You got to be willing to pour into agents, pour into mentors. And the problem is you don't see the immediate returns there. And so that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
We were joking yesterday. I was saying, hey, the business owes me, but it's because when you pour into it,
No doubt.
something's going to happen.
Yeah, that's
it's
good.
going to pop.
Yeah, and it definitely is going to pop, dude. This is a very refreshing interview for me watching, again, I don't know, man, you're starting to really take a place here in my heart. Like, you just get it, bro. And it just reminds me of Ivan. And it's like you've got this machine-like quality about yourself, but the humility to go, it's this bigger than me. Mm-hmm. It's not all about me. But then also the ability to just continue to mow down problems because, and I think what people need to really hear and understand is that the most selfless people build the biggest businesses. I know that sounds hokey, but guess what, dude? If you're about people more than about yourself, you're going to build a big business. Yep. Now, I believe that writing business is selfless. Mm-hmm. Now, it's crazy because the money goes to you. But without the money, it's the oxygen mask. Mm-hmm. I can't go help all these people. Plane's going down. I can't help you because I was too selfish. I didn't put on my mask first. Yeah. I have to put on my mask. If I could put on my mask, I'm secure. I can go help you. And when that starts happening, you have the peace of mind to help people at ridiculous scale because your business isn't going under over any one override or any one producer or any one situation. You're going to eat. Yep. And that allows you to really pour from a place of being full, not being empty. And you really, really get that. And that's why I look at your deal right now and go, yeah, 6 months from now, you'll be triple the size. Yeah. Because you're pouring in right now. You're being as selfless as you could be right now when it feels more difficult to do that. But that's the beauty in what we do. I want to hear from you on that term, selfless, and I want to hear from you on, maybe not why people don't do it, because that seems pretty obvious, but, empower people. Yeah, empower people to understand, how the person that helps the most people wins in our business.
I think, speaking of the selfless point, that's something that Sean Mike, he's famous for preaching it. You can't have a big business and a big ego, right? He says that over and over, and I think the first time either I heard that or the first time that I was listening for it, I kind of did a mental, I was like, okay, well, I want a big business, so let's just, let's scratch off the big ego part of it then, right? I guess I can't have both, right? And it helps when you don't look at yourself like, oh, I'm all that, right? Because we all have something that we can look at ourselves about and take pride in it, or just be like, okay, hey, let's just keep moving from it because I also have a ton of crap, right?
Yeah.
And so the selfless part of it, again, it's like when you're going into that first home. When I started writing business, I'm showing up in a sport coat, a button-up, pleated pants, leather dress shoes, looking like a fool because I was trying to overcompensate. I didn't want them to think I was new or inexperienced at something.
How about that?
Right? And so I'm able to tell agents like, hey, don't care about what they think of you.
Right.
Just care about helping them out.
Yeah.
That's why you're there.
No doubt.
It doesn't matter what they think of you. Just help them out.
Yeah.
And the same thing applies to the building a business.
I love that.
Like, it doesn't matter what you think of me, if you think I'm special or not, if you think I'm hardworking or not, because I know what I'm about. Mm-hmm. And part of what I'm about is helping you succeed. Right. So if you're doing X, Y, Z, if you're putting in the activity, like, I want to help you.
Right.
This is where I'm going, and that's the beauty about this business. The rising tide raises all ships. That's how we're built. I'm not going to win if you're not winning. And so I think that's so beautiful, because where else do you see that?
Right.
Where else do you see that, where I have to help you win? I have to teach you to help a bunch of clients. I have to teach you to recruit and mentor a bunch of agents, and then help them get paid.
Right.
And vice versa. So we all are going to win together or not at all. And so that's where that spirit comes from. It's you have to help a bunch of people, or you're not going to be good in this business. And no one wants to learn, or no one's going to copy someone with a big ego. that's just how it goes in any industry. So I think that's, to speak to the selfless point, that I saw that in so many people like yourself, like Sean, Mike, people that have built big businesses. It's like, all right, I got to figure out how to take my personality and emulate that in the business, because that's the core structure around it. You know, serve the people.
Yeah. Amen.
Literally, you know, it all comes back to that. And so I think that's the selfless part of it is what you have to focus on there. What was that second part that you wanted to focus on?
I wanted you to empower people to, I think you just did though, to talk about like this selfless piece and like what it takes to build a business. But what you just said is worth its weight in gold. And I think that, you know, when you think about you and Mike's partnership, you know, and why you guys came together, I'm pretty sure you feel better about it today than you did day one. But what about the two of your personalities coming together makes Inception a better place to work?
Absolutely. And then I did think of one more thing to add to the selfless and the empowerment thing. You have to look at your goals and how important they are to you. Because I think if you get weary in well-doing, then your goals weren't big enough.
Wow.
You know, they weren't important enough to you. So it's almost a pride thing that keeps you going in some ways. It's like, well, no, why would I quit? I've poured all this into it.
Right.
Why would I not keep going? It's going to work. I can't just keep pouring all this effort and energy into something that's been proven to be successful time and time again. It's going to work at some point.
Right.
And so I think the giving up thing is just like, well, why?
Right.
Like I've got these goals. They're not going to achieve themselves.
Amen.
As far as the partnership goes, I think it was such an obvious decision because we have such glaring strengths and weaknesses in different parts of the business. But our passion to help agents go farther faster is what kind of make the perfect amount of sense, because it's like, hey, half of something really big, even quicker, is a lot more than all of maybe a little bit less.
Got it.
You know, so I think we both would have gotten there eventually,
no doubt.
Just not as fast. And I think it would have been to the detriment of a lot of the people on our teams because there's stuff that I bring to the table in the form of organization or, you know, seeing things on a different level, being able to ride at a high level that maybe Mike struggles with. But then I also don't know what the word patience means. And I'm working on it, right? But having been a sales manager for so many years and taught idiot college kids like myself to go door to door and be like, hey, I'll take care of your lawn, give me your credit card, right? He's got some patience that I'm learning from and that agents need. So just we bring so many things to the table. Yeah.
Hey, did you talk to Mike about that?
Exactly. Are you listening to my phone calls now?
That's great.
Just that passion to help agents in every aspect of the business and to give them as much perspective as possible, whether it's, you know, managers or agents or staff, being able to pour into them from every different angle for what they need at the moment. I think it's so important. So it's not something that I think anyone or everyone has to do, and that was part of the reason that we did it. So that way our people don't have to do that. Right. You know, because we've done it for them and we can, as long as they utilize that correctly, it can work for them as well.
Love it. What are you learning about staff?
What am I not learning about staff? I think it's so hard to be unemotional about it. But I think one of the biggest things I'm learning is how hard you have to set expectations at the beginning. Because if someone's not doing their job like you would want them to, if someone's not performing at the level you would want them to, if their attitude isn't on point to what you would want it to be to, you know, contribute to the culture of your business, you have to take a hard look at yourself before you get too upset at them. Like, hey, did I even give them the proper structure? Right. Did we train them to do their job like they need to do it? That's good. You know, did we set the right culture, set the right expectations, And that's a tough lesson to learn because it requires a lot of inward looking, But I think that's the biggest lessons that we're learning when it comes to staff is, you need staff to build this thing.
Right.
You can't do it on your own.
Right.
But you want to have the right staff.
Right.
That's something that I think you've learned, been on both sides of. But right now, I mean, it's always incredible seeing your team. Your staff are some of the my favorite people to get to see. I'm always excited when I'm traveling around and getting to meet them and be around them. And that speaks very highly of what you've done and what you've learned, and that's something that we need to be able to emulate at a higher level.
Yeah.
So I think those are some of the biggest lessons you learn. Just like with clients, you got to set the right expectations, or else you're going to get to think about it, right? With agents, you got to set the right expectations, or they're gone, right? Because they didn't know what it would take.
Right.
Same thing with staff.
That's good, man. That's good. Yeah, I got my butt kicked quite a bit. I mean, that's how it works, right? That's how you become a good, leader of independent people as well. I mean, you get your hat handed to you. Mm-hmm. The mirror's always looking at you because they're your mirror. Yeah. They do know. They will tell you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like on all fronts, like, okay, cool. Yeah. So I've, become extremely humbled by the things I didn't know, and I was willing to take the learning bath with whatever embarrassment that came with, because I wanted to get better. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's a work in progress, right? It's not finished. The last thing I'll ask you is, I might have asked you this before, but I think it might be taken on a meaning that I want to hear about. Define Inception. Define FFL Inception.
Absolutely. So it kind of relates to, to the big blockbuster movie that came out a while ago. But when I'm, referring back to the aggressively average part of me, I'm not very creative. And so when it came to choosing a team name, I was struggling. I was looking all around trying to think of something that rang a bell, or, something that meant something. And I was struggling for a while. And then finally I was like, well, I guess all the team names that you remember, it's because there was a story behind it. So I was trying to think about, okay, what is this meant to me? What does this business do for agents? What does that come from? So I started thinking about when I got started and the level of skepticism that I brought to the table. Like, no, that can't be real. That's not going to work for me. Maybe you guys are going out there helping 3, 4, 5 families a day and then seeing the rewards from that. But I don't know if I can do that.
Right.
Oh, okay, I see Mark and all these other people that have built these big businesses, but I don't know if I'm going to do that, or if I can do that, or if I have what it takes, right? And so when I started going down that road, I started thinking of how much Family First Life can change someone's life to the point of not feeling like reality. And so I started thinking about that final scene in that movie where it's like, hey, that he spins the top and starts to wobble a little bit, and then it cuts. Right. So after that 2.5-hour movie, you're like, wait, was that reality or not? And so I think that's what this business is, and I think that if you do it right, you're going to have a lot of what I call inception moments. So when you're a brand new agent, and you get out there and you're nervous as heck, sweating bullets. A lot of people talk about how they didn't even want to go in their first house, right? They found some creative way to avoid it, or getting on the phones. But then you help that first family, and then you see the commission, you see the reward from that. Right. And it's like, wow, I'm not even good at this. But for most people, that's more than they make in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. From helping one family, and so I feel like that's one of the first inception moments. Is wow, that doesn't feel real, but I like it, but it's good. And then you have that week where you help 10 families for the first time. That's a milestone for so many people. And then your eyes are just open to the financial possibilities of this business. And then I feel like one of the biggest inception moments is when you tell someone else about this opportunity and you pour into them, and you get to witness them coming in and having their inception moments and seeing this change their life, and having that gratification that you're able to play a small part in that. And then wait, I'm winning from this too?
Right. Yeah. That's
You know, and then I think it just builds and builds and builds, and we could be here for another 20 minutes talking about every level of this business that blows your mind.
That's crazy.
And I haven't even gotten to experience all of them yet.
That's great.
Right? But I get to know guys like you on such a personal level that have gotten to experience so many of those. And so that it comes back to that passion of helping agents go farther, faster, helping them understand what this is. Like, yeah, you're going to have to work harder than you've ever worked in your life. Sorry, I don't even know what you've done. But you're going to have to work harder than you've ever worked in your life. But you're not doing it so your boss can buy another Lambo.
Right.
Right? You're not doing it so maybe you could get a cost of living raise next year.
Right.
No, you're doing this to change your life and your kid's life and your grandkid's life
Right.
and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
How much is that worth to you?
That's great.
And so trying to take those thoughts and that reality and be able to tell agents, hey, like, no, this is real. It's real work,
Yeah.
but it's also real reward if you're willing to put it in. And so that's what Inception means to me. It's that concept of, man, I've got these huge dreams. I'm just not sure how to accomplish them. And then to realize, wait, I can just buckle down and go to work for a couple years and achieve those.
Right.
It's just, it's mind-blowing to me.
That's a fantastic description of FFL Inception. You are a complete machine, my guy. Appreciate you coming in the booth with me,
Appreciate you
man.
having
This
me,
was
brother.
one of my favorite ones. Thank you so much, man. Matt Borsh, soon to be board member of FFL Inception, and crazy Hall of Fame producer. Appreciate you joining us, man. Thank you
Appreciate
so
having me
much
as
for
always.
all you do, brother. Keep listening, man. We'll keep bringing you fire. God bless.